Starlink's satellite internet service could soon enter the Philippine market after getting the green light from regulators. Could this change the future of the internet in the country? Grace Mirandilla Santos, lead advocate of the Better Internet Philippines group, joins us tonight on The Final Word. Grace, thank you so much for joining us. Share with us exactly what kind of services will Starlink Philippines offer our internet users?
Good evening, Rico. Thanks for having me. Basically, Starlink is an end-to-end satellite broadband service provider. So essentially, an end user can have access to a dish, and that dish can connect to a satellite, the satellite system of Starlink that's in orbit, particularly the low Earth orbit, which is very near the Earth. It's like less than 1,000 kilometers. So what the end user will receive is pure broadband using satellites.
So basically, from the laptop I have with me right here in the studio to a router and a direct uplink to a satellite. So the difference with our broadband services here is that is a satellite, and this, what we have at the moment, is just fixed broadband services.
If you're using a wired connection, then you're using a cable. Yes, that's a fixed wired broadband. If you're using your mobile phone and you're connecting to a cell site that's run by a mobile network operator, then you're using mobile data. But essentially, like any internet technology, satellite can connect to the internet, just like fiber optics, just like mobile cellular, and many other technologies. The only difference, of course, is that satellite is in orbit, and what we have now, or what we're used to using, are all here on Earth, terrestrial broadband networks.
What about, Grace, the speed of these broadband services? How fast is a satellite uplink compared to a fixed broadband? Which is faster?
First of all, we cannot compare the two. They're two different technologies. That's not comparing apples to apples. But there are measurements that have been done. Ookla speed test, which is what's available right now, that compares different types of technologies and speed, measure the download speed of Starlink ranging between 50 and 100 Mbps. Fixed broadband, well, first of all, the test is in the US. And comparing it to fixed broadband in some states in the US, there were some cases where Starlink's download speed was much faster than fixed broadband. But of course, when you talk about wired connection, fiber optic cable, for example, it's still the gold standard. It's still more reliable. However, the main benefit of satellite is that for remote rural areas, places where traditional ISPs or internet service providers cannot reach, that's really where satellite comes in. Because it becomes more expensive kasi to roll out, let's say, fiber optic network as you go to the more remote rural areas.
So Starlink's broadband services will not be for the urban areas, it will be for the rural areas?
Most ideal for the rural areas, because since it's using satellite, it needs line of sight. So the dish has to see the satellite. And if there are obstructions like buildings, it won't be very ideal for satellite. So it's really more for areas where line of sight can be established.
So the entry of Starlink, will it be a game changer for the industry?
Starlink can have a significant impact outside of the major cities. It can definitely fill a gap in connectivity for communities that your usual internet service providers don't serve. But ultimately, it can be a game changer because it's now providing Filipinos in the rural areas more choice. But to me, the most important contribution also is that this development is showing us that policy is possible, where you can open up the broadband market. So this administration has paved the way. We think that the new administration can prioritize, putting more openness in the market. Like if they pass the open access and data transmission bill, that will definitely help open up the market for all types of technologies. And that's really what's going to be the game changer, I think.
So apart from Starlink, we could see more international players coming in to the internet services industry.
Definitely. Executive Order 127 paved the way because of the signing of the Duterte administration. The amendment to the Public Service Act definitely opened the market to foreign players. So these are two policy reforms that the new administration should maximize and go full throttle. Basically promote more competition, not just in the satellite industry, but in other industries within the internet service market.
So Starlink is just the first player of more potentially international players to come that will open up more competition and maybe up the game of our existing broadband services providers such as Globe, PLDT, DITO, and Converge.
Definitely. As I told you in previous interviews, competition is really the game changer. So if you increase competition, make services better, and make these players compete based on what improved service they can give at more affordable prices, then that definitely will be the solution.
And everyone's really excited with Starlink, Grace, because it's owned by Elon Musk. And when you say affordability, with Starlink now coming to the Philippines, it could be within the next 6 to 9 months of 2022 to 2023. When you say affordable, how much cheaper could the services be?
Satellite internet is not cheap because your facilities, some of it are here, but most of the cost, of course, goes to the satellite in orbit. But then again, let's compare apples to apples. Spending 5,000 pesos on a subscription on a monthly basis on internet that can go as fast as 100 Mbps, I think that would be way better than no connectivity at all. Again, you have to compare the value for money based on what's already there. We cannot compare, for example, the cost of satellite and fiber if fiber is in the city and you have other connectivity options. Compare satellites to satellites. So if 5,000 pesos per month is the offer of Starlink, then that would be a challenge to other satellite operators.
Thank you so much for your insights, Grace Mirandilla Santos, lead advocate of the Better Internet Philippines Group.